a lot of the kind of theory side of my work is to do with queer theory, and like I read a lot about queer like feminist theory, and something I was always interested in, and I'm still working it out, like I don't have the answer, but it's how do we represent something in media without flattening it or making it a stereotype. And the way that I am dealing with that right now is trying to actually make something that exists queerly. So I wanted to actually make a queer object instead of trying to represent what queerness is, and I hope that comes across, because I think also people can look at my work and not pick that up at all, but I think that's totally the point. And I also have people say that they completely get that. So yeah, I like that it's not obvious. There's lots of different reasons, to be honest. One of the reasons is because balloons are kind of like a skin-like texture, like the latex, and it's a very kind of, it's sturdy, it's quite strong, but it's also easily popped. So I really liked that kind of contrast of its materiality. And also I think balloons are quite, when they sort of follow you around the room, you know, that phenomenon of like you're walking around a room and a balloon, the static electricity means that it will follow you around. I think that's quite creepy, and so there's something inherently a bit strange about them. So yeah, that's why I was drawn to them. I don't know. I love horror, I love sci-fi. I think they're really good ways for us to like dissect things in life that are hard to talk about. I think they're a good medium to do that. Mark Fisher quote, which is the definition of the eerie, and it's a failure of, I'm not going to get it right, a failure of presence or a failure of absence. So when there's something present where there should be nothing, that's that kind of horrible feeling of the eerie, when something's there that shouldn't be, or when something's not there and there should be. And I think that's, yeah, I sort of think about that a lot when I'm making my work, that idea. I think, yeah, it was just this mystery surrounding it. When I saw it when I was a child, I just remember it's really small, so it's this big. And yeah, I just think this kind of mystery of there's a witch inside there. I just kept thinking, how could a witch be in there? It was a very like literal way of thinking about it as a child, and like trying to be like, how would a witch actually fit inside this tiny container? It's also really reflective. It's like a metallic little bottle, so you can see yourself in it. And I then started imagining, what if I was inside it? What if, you know, all this type of stuff. Yeah, and I just came back to it. I kept thinking about it. I think as a child I was obsessed with kind of like, I was a bit more scared of it. I think now I've reached a point where I'm like, maybe we do open the bottle and see if there is actually a witch inside. And I think I've realised like the kind of seduction of that object is that you don't know, and you won't find out until you open it. So it's this dilemma of, do you open the thing that you think is bad to see if it actually exists, or do you keep it shut and live in like a safety? So it's like, yeah, it's transgression type of dilemma. Also like learning obviously about the witch trials, you learn about it in school, and then I've done some research in it, and then kind of in a wider context, you know, this idea of containment and oppression, it's quite a heavy-handed metaphor. I think that's obviously like really important right now. When I have been less distant with painting, it feels hard in a way that I don't think is warranted. I don't want to feel like I'm always fighting something, or like being kind of suffocated almost by emotions around painting, and that's why I sort of created a distance, and it's worked. I don't know if it's something I'll always stick by. Like maybe when I'm older I'll want to be super emotional in my paintings again, but right now that's what works. Yeah. When I watch like theatre or something, or a film, I sometimes feel that the emotion is killed when it's displayed too much, and so I think maybe that's where it's come from a little bit as well, of like distance allows an audience to kind of feel that emotion themselves rather than being shown it. Yeah, a future kind of project I wanted to work on was about this chess robot that I was playing for like years and years, and I couldn't beat it, but it's presented as like a female robot, and then I became like super obsessed with trying to beat her, and then I started thinking about like that kind of insular relationship like in your head that you form with some like a essentially an object, but then you start personifying it, and the story was kind of about someone falling in love with the chess robot and like understanding every part of this robot through chess. Yeah, maybe that's to do like the same way I understand things through constructing objects. So it's also another like way of creating a game, because it's a game of different moves that I can make with two very specific objects, a balloon and a magnet, and how many moves can I make to create like there's an infinite possibility of what would be the outcome.